Okay, so this session's being recorded. Again, hello and welcome, whether you're watching this live on Wednesday, February the 6th, or whether you're catching this on the replay. Either way, I'm so glad that you're here and wanting to learn about how to fix the top 7 gaps. And actually, there's probably more than 7, but I'm going to just go through 7 gaps in Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central Job Granule. And I do all this with a very nice product called Job Manager. Maybe you have heard of it, or if not, we will get you up to speed on the product here today. This session should be about 60 minutes, so sit back, relax, make sure that that you can see what we're doing here. I did send this study guide, which is what I use for the presentation, to most of you. Unless we had somebody sign in at the last minute, but I think most of you have this. It's also available in the handout section as well. Hey, just so you know a little bit about me, just before I start, I guess I should say this. That's my picture up there. That is me. I kind of help the nav end users and actually resellers as well, maybe just like yourself, get the most from your software investment. I've been involved with nav software now for over 20 years. That's why I got that gray hair. And I just love this software. But there are some areas that need improvement. And we know that as a ISV, we're a developer for the software, and we've uncovered certain areas and we fix those areas with our add-on products. So I encourage you to be willing to invest in add-on products, because add-on products do round out your solution, and it's a whole lot less expensive to just purchase an add-on than it is to actually try and write it yourself or have your consultant try and write the software. I think you'll find that it's a whole lot quicker just to drop in a pre-written piece of software and away you go. And that's what I'm going to show you today, is how we have fixed these 7 gaps. And we're going to take each one at a time and go through them and get you up to speed as far as what they are and how it works. Realize this is all about jobs. So it's all about jobs, job costing, activities within jobs, and the relationships within jobs. So we've really made some changes to the software. So the first one, let's just get started here. Of these 7 gaps. So first gap that we identified is that there's really no link from a sales quote to a job, or even an estimating portion of a job. I think that's an area that Microsoft really missed an opportunity on, because we get a lot of people requesting that they want to be able to do quoting and estimating kind of all combined together. And so what I want to show you today is how, when you add in this Job Manager feature set, you can start with a quote, generate a job estimate, evaluate the cost, calculate the contract amount, and then put the contract amount on the sales quote, all from one place, which is the sales quote itself, and never leaving the sales quote, and doing all of that, kind of calculating the amounts all right from the sales quote. Let's go take a look, and I'll show you how this works. So let me move this out of the way. And I guess I didn't open it up yet. So I'm going to open up my browser. And I don't know if you have seen this or not, but I'm going to be using Nav hosted. So I'm going to be using Nav out on browser. So I'm going to go to my browser, and not to Google, but to Job Manager here. And it's going to open up my URL up here at the top. And then this is Nav in a browser. So it's a little different look and feel than maybe what you've experienced before, but it has all the common functionality that you're accustomed to: inventory, resources, jobs, certainly jobs, contacts, customers, vendors, items. It's all the same stuff that you probably had before. And even the role center down here with the open jobs, the planning jobs, the sales orders, so access to your sales orders, purchase orders. This is what the browser version or web-based version of Business Central, you see up here it says Business Central. So this is Dynamics 365 Business Central. This is what it looks like. So if you haven't seen this, this will be a good session for you to stick around and watch how the software, the look and feel. It's different, but it's the same. It's the same stuff. It's just the user interface is a little different when it's hosted like this. Okay, but I want to focus on quotes. So we're going to do a quote, and I'm just going to start there. So I'm going to come over here to sales quotes. I've got one in the system right now. So I've only got one quote in here, but I'm going to add a new one. So a new quote, guess what? You just pick the new button, and now it's just about like the other software. If you have not seen this user interface, very, very similar. So customer name, we can do a lookup just like you've had before. So I can look up names. Let's pick, I'm going to pick Canna Group, of course. Most of you are familiar with that company and probably seen many, many demos with the Canna Group. Okay, so starting the header, so I'm on quote 1006. It auto-numbered that, by the way. In fact, I'm going to write that number down, 1006, because we're going to talk about that number here in just a minute. All right, so I'm going to quote a resource. So I like to do resources. Pretend that I'm in the conveyor business. So I'm going to actually be creating a job for a conveyor, and I'm going to need to be able to estimate a very complex conveyor for a factory. And it's a unique job. It's different every time I put in these conveyors. I'm going to start the quote out with one conveyor. And I'm also, for the price, I'm going to start the quote at $1. Eventually, we're going to kind of come back to that, and we're going to put in the actual amount for this quote before we send it off to the prospect. But I'm going to point out a couple things here, and I'm going to slide this over to the right just a little bit. Where's my job number? Here it is. Okay, so here is the job number, and you'll notice right now it's blank. So I don't have a job assigned to this quote 1006, but so I want to create that relationship, and I don't want to leave the quote. I just want to do it all from right here. So what we did to enhance the software is we added a function right here called job. And if I open this up, you can see that there's several things. I can view the jobs task, the planning lines, the jobs. The main thing I want you to see is this choice right here, which is to make a job for this line item. So I want to create a brand new job for this quote so that I can do my estimating process right from here. And then once I've calculated the price that I want to charge the customer, okay, we're going to do cost and price. Then I'll put it right here on the lines. Watch this. So I'm going to say make a job. So I'll say make a job. It says the date is earlier. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on the dates. The work dates might be slightly different than what we've got, but I'm not worried about that. Okay, so it's done. So it has now created the job. You can see it right here. I didn't type that in. And notice it's got an extension, -01. This is the first line item. So this conveyor is basically the first line of this quote. And so it just gives it a -01 number. And if you had two lines, then it'd be -02, 03, 04, and so forth. And we'll talk about that grouping here in a little bit. Okay, so the job is set up. Now what I want to do is view the estimate of that job, because I've also got this set up with templates. That the template for this conveyor job, because I do lots of conveyors in my business, and I really have a template that has the normal tasks that I do. And so if I go and look at the job's estimate, I'm going to click that choice. It's going to bring up my task list for me. So let this bring up my task list. Here we go. So you'll have your own task list, of course. You know, I've got things like engineering CAD. Let's see what else we've got in here. Um, Cutting, welding, machining, painting, um, assembly work, final inspection. You'll have your own list. And I hope those of you on the call think in terms of, oh, yeah, that's where my codes would go. So you're going to have, sometimes they're called cost codes, if you've heard that term, or activities, but it's anything that you want to charge employee time, subcontractor time, material time to. So let's take welding for example. If a welder's working on this, in fact, you'll see here I've got Mark assigned for 40 hours of time. That came in from the template, by the way. I didn't type that in. The template says, okay, we normally have Mark working on the welding, and it's normally 40 hours. Let's say it's not. On this job, it's going to be 50 hours. Let's make it 55 hours. So I'm going to change that. And now it says we're going to update the planning lines, which is these lower window down here. So I'm going to say okay. And now on Mark for 55 hours, it has inserted that 55 hours multiplied times his rate to come up with the total cost, that 2722.50. You see it up here as well. So this is where it's getting the cost for this for welding. Now, do I have any materials? Looks like I don't have any materials on that item. I think on cutting, let me look at cutting. Yeah, on cutting, I've got 40 hours, but I've also got some materials in here. Again, from the template. Okay, this came in from the template, and if I need to edit that, I can just go in here and say, let's maybe change the quantities a little bit on some of the material. So on this base item part, now that's the part number. Say I need two, oops, not there. Oh, back here, I want 4 of those. And rear panels, instead of 2, I need 6. So you can change the quantities here. It's easier just to come down the list and edit versus having to type in all the part numbers that you need. So always set up a template first, or copy a job and then edit that the new copy to match your existing job. And of course, the costs information and the price information has all come in from the item inventory master file. All right, so let's go back a screen here, and I want to do one last thing, and then we got to get that price. I mean, this is all about the price, the contract amount that you're going to charge the customer. All right, and so on the upper window, I'm going to slide to the right. I want you to see this very closely here. It's way over here. Here's the contract amount. So this is where you can establish how much you're going to charge that customer for this work. Now let's take a look at what the cost was. So down here's the total job total. It's 28. No, I'm sorry, it's this column. 16,000 is about 16,000 for the job. So when you put in a contract amount, do you want to actually just plug a number? I mean, I could just enter a number and say I'm going to charge 25,000. Or I could, and that's on this line, the contract amount line. Or you may, in your business, you may get more specific. You may say, I'm going to charge so much for the meetings, so much for my CAD and my engineer guys, so much for cutting and machining and welding. You might have a price on every one of these line items. In fact, you'll notice the computer has already done that. It's taken the prices from down here and added them up for us up here. So I could actually just take this column and say, I'm going to go with that. And I just copy it over here. So there's a choice called copy the scheduled prices to the contract amount. So I just click that choice and give it a second here, and it's done it. So if I say yes, I want to do that, you'll see now it's filled this in. So this is all filled in for me. It's got some subtotals for prefabrication. It's got a subtotal for the fab work, and then a total for the site work. That's the 3 parts to my jobs. And then a grand total contract amount of 28,000. Now, if I want to make a change, so let's come in here and say for training, we're gonna charge 5,000. and I want to put in something different than what was calculated, I can just make that change. It's free form. And so I'm basically establishing the this contract amount that we're going to charge the customer, which is what's going to go on the quote. I mean, don't forget where we came from, which is the quote. So let's just finish this, and I just going to go simply. I don't have to do anything, so I just close this out. And it says, do you want to change the unit price of $1? Remember, I started that quote at $1 and put it in at 29,000. Absolutely, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to say, yes, please do that. And let's leave the estimating worksheet. And we'll go back to our quote 1006 here. And you'll notice now the price has magically been updated through the processes here with that 29,537, 537.30. Okay, so there is now, I've got this nice relationship between this job, and you'll notice that I've got the job number on the line, so it knows that relationship. If the customer approves it, then I could go ahead, and the next step would be to kind of come in here and just say, make this into an order. I'm not going to go through all the steps on this thing. That's kind of gets into kind of training more or less, but I just wanted you to see this relationship between the quotes and the estimating process. Okay, so I want to do actually, I kind of like to do some polls along the way here. So I'm going to show this up on the screen. So let me launch this and let me know what you think about what you just saw. Okay, this is the sales quote to job estimate worksheet. Could you use something like this in your business? Okay, or if you are a reseller, maybe one of your customers could use something like this. Or if it doesn't apply, just say, I have no use for this. That's perfectly okay. So just take your mouse, grab up there at the top, and everybody gets a chance to vote. Yep. Okay, good. 83%. Excellent. Okay, I'll close the poll out, and let's share this back, and you can see what everybody on the call is saying. Really very nice. 91% of you said you could use this, and 9% said it did not apply, which is perfectly okay. Hopefully some of the other things that I'm going to show you in a minute will. So excellent. Oh, wow, 91%. I love that. Okay, so let me close to get that out of the way. It's gone. Okay. So let's go back to the menu for a minute. And I want to bring up the study guide so I stay somewhat on track. So that was number one gap. Number two gap is there's out of the box, there didn't seem to be a way to group multiple jobs together. I wanted to be able to form a project where you have a lot of little sub jobs and each one is tracked individually. Each could have its own task list, its own bill of materials, its own all the things and costs associated with each of those sub jobs. And yet they would all roll up to the master job so I could see at the project level how I'm doing. Okay, so think in terms of your own business, and hopefully you can see yourself using this concept as well. So let's go see how Job Manager enables project costing. Let's take a look at that functionality. Let me park this out of the way. And I'm going to open up the jobs. I think this is the first time we've actually seen a list of jobs. Maybe I went too fast on that. Go back. So here as went back to the main role center. This is where I have these jobs. I set up that quote job. We're going to kind of abandon that one for right now. I've got plenty in my sample here. So here is some open jobs, and I click on that tile. That's what we call a tile. And these are those 14 jobs. So this is the list of jobs within the software here. And I can click on any one. And let me just mention a couple things about what you're seeing. So this is the list of active jobs. And I mentioned this concept of master job and sub job, which I think is really, really important. That you have a master job like this 1001. The one we were working on was 1006. And it's got dash '01, '04, '05, and '06. These are the sub jobs within it. One is a conveyor, the other is to make a finished good number 101. Actually, they're all FG 101s. But you get the idea that you can have a variety of types of different sub jobs within the group. Now, the another key principle here is you've got the contract amount showing. So I showed you the contract amount, where that was from your estimating worksheet, which you can always open up again if you need to get to estimating. It's right here on the menu. In fact, let me just pin that. Pin it down. And you can then also see, for the one that's highlighted, I can see my budget for this job. So this job has a budget 30,000, and then these are the hours for the job. They would show here. These are the various costs. Now, in this version of Job Manager, it splits them into more categories of costs: shop labor, field labor, machine costs, expenses. Here's the material cost. Not very much material on that, mostly a labor job. Yours might be the other way. You might have lots of material cost, very little labor cost, or you might have some subcontract cost. That would be your outside processing. So it just depends on the nature of your business, what you would see in this statistic window. And I've got a fairly small dollar amounts. You may be hundreds of thousands of dollars in these different cost areas. But this is all the budget that's reading that estimating sheet that we just did. Now, when a job is brand new, this one isn't. This one's got some costs. So I'm scrolling down just a little bit. You'll notice I've got actual costs. So I see these actual costs that are coming in. And during the course of the job, this is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger as we go. So I'm going to have more and more costs coming in. And here's the total down here at the bottom. You can see down here is the total actual cost of this job. So that's coming from the postings. And we'll talk about how you get some of that information in there a little bit later. But let's be sure we understand the what you would use, the results. I kind of like to start, this is what I call my results concept, because we've got to be sure the results give you what you want. It doesn't really matter how you enter stuff. That's immaterial. It's does it give you the results? Because if it doesn't give you the results, it doesn't, no point learning about how to enter things if the results aren't what you want. So always when you're anytime you're looking at a demonstration from somebody, including myself, just look at think in terms of the results. Is this giving me what you need? And hopefully you're going to say, this is fantastic. Gives me exactly what I need. Okay. So, I was losing my train of thought here. Sorry. Okay, so concept of projects. So you get this concept now in terms of this grouping. Okay, so every time I land on an individual job, you'll see these numbers change. Or if I'm up here on the master job, then that's the roll up. My budget and my actual costs are the roll up of all of these sub jobs. That happens all automatically. You post your cost to the individual sub jobs, and then it rolls up to the project level. Okay, so think in terms of your own business. Do you use or could you utilize this concept of grouping of jobs? So let's find out what people say. Grab your mouse again. This is customer, what do I call it? Customer involvement. Okay, so sorry I can't have the mic open. I get too much feedback for the recording, but you do get to kind of let me know whether you would have a use for grouping jobs together, which, by the way, out of the box from Nav, doesn't exist. So none of that estimating that you just saw, that doesn't exist out of the box. And this grouping of jobs doesn't exist out of the box. This is part of the enhancements that are available to you with just dropping this add-on in. So get a couple more people to vote whether it's could use this, have no use for it, or does not apply. Just let me know. Click, 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 click. Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to close out there, and we'll share this back when those people that voted, we got 100% said they could use this concept of grouping. Excellent. We got 67% of you voting too, so that's very good. Love it. We got 13 on the call. Glad to have everybody here today. Hopefully you're going to learn some stuff as we go along. I've shown two. So far, we've shown two of the key gaps, and let's take a look at number 3. So in number 3, I felt that there was no way to get a complete view of the job statistics. So the statistics of the job, this is from a manager's point of view. And again, it comes back to what are the results that you get out of having a job cost system? You want some statistical view of comparing your actual cost to your budgeted cost. You want to be able to see the difference. Okay. And so we wanted to really enhance the out of the box statistic page from Microsoft, what they provide. I just didn't feel it was organized well enough. And so let me show you what we've done with the statistics, and let's see if you like this. So let me move this out of the way. So let me pick a job that's got some good sample data in it. This will kind of work. Okay. So I'm going to open up our statistic box, which is here under, what's process is it? Oh, yeah. Right here, statistics. If it was a snake, it would bite me. All right, so here is the statistics. Now, this is for job 1001-01. So this is a sub-job, and it came from a quote, sales quote number 1001. Okay, that's why the -01 number's there. Okay, so these are all the columns. Look at all these columns of information. Nice, neat, organized information. You have an original budget. You have a current budget. You have PO outstanding amounts, if there's any open POs. Any POs received and not invoiced would show up down here. Then the actual costs or actual revenue from the billing amounts would show in here. The variances, because everybody wants to know what's the difference between my budget and my actuals. We put in a variance and then a percent complete, 2%, based on what that difference is. Okay, pretty small amounts here on this sample data, but I think you get the idea. So again, this current budget is really just it's exactly what you saw on the first screen. And it just puts these two very important columns side by side so that you can see that variance information and a percent complete is calculated automatically. Now, some of you may or may not need this one. This is what's called the original budget. So at the start of your job, you can literally freeze the budget and say, okay, this is the way the budget started on the job. Because you can go into that estimating screen, you can change the quantities, you can add items, you can take away hours, you can make any kind of changes to the current budget, but we want to leave the original budget firm. And there is no way to edit this. We did not provide an edit capability. By the way, all these are drillable. So if I'm sitting here on my shop labor cost and I want to know what that was, I can click on that and it's going to open up all those original budgets. This is the budgets that were entered when you set up and did your estimating. How many hours for these different people on the different tasks, what their rates are, all of that clearly visible. We don't want job costing should not be a mystery. You don't want a job to be mysterious. You want a job to be accurate to the penny. So it's all in basically seeing the drill down. So if I want to drill down to, let's take material, something different. So if I want to drill down on that 798, I can see the actual materials, a rim and a side panel used on this particular job. Here's my cost information, so I know exactly where that's coming from. Now, for many of you, this list here could be huge. You use lots and lots of different materials on your jobs. They'd all be listed here. That's part of your audit trail of the job. It's all right here. Okay, this is called the job ledger entries. If you're not familiar with that, you will be by the time you start to use it. And then the other part to this, I just love this, is this PO outstanding amount. So if you issue a purchase order for some materials, which I'm not going to have time to do today, but if you issued a PO for some materials, that open PO is going to show up right here until you receive in the materials. Then it's going to show up here, and then eventually you're going to get the vendor's invoice. It's going to show up over here. So it moves from left to right as that value gets closer and closer to having the actual value posted to the job itself. Very, very cool functionality. I know you love that. Okay, so let's go back. So this is all about statistics, and there's actually more to those statistics than I'm going to have time to show today. I want to show this too. Oh gosh, there's always so much to show. Let me just show you real quickly what we call the job cockpit. So I'm going to move that out of the way. So back on the main screen here, the job WIP cockpit, for those of you that do work in process accounting, this is standard NAV. We didn't change any of this. So this is just the way it comes out of the box from NAV to be able to calculate. This is where you calculate your WIP and post the WIP to the general ledger. Again, I'm not going to cover that today, but we added this new one called Job Cockpit. Love this. So this brings up my list of jobs, but it's kind of like a snapshot of my overall how we're doing. So how, of all the jobs, what is the total amount that I have under contract? Of all the jobs, not just one job. Now we're talking the contract amount of all the jobs is going to be totaled up here. What's the total job to date? Oh no, this is estimated cost. What's the estimated cost? And what is the job to date actual cost across all jobs? All jobs, not one job, all jobs. And there's some additional columns, all those statistics, actual labor hours are going to show here, remaining hours, how many hours do I have left on the job, the total actual cost per job. So all of this is lots and lots of statistical information. You could send this to a spreadsheet, generate charts, graphs, do whatever you need to do to be able to see all the cost information from a very high level. Again, think in terms of the results. This is the results screen that I get. So hopefully these are the types of things that you're wanting yourself when you're evaluating a job cost solution. Because we want to make it easy for you to get statistical information about the job. It's all about the results. Okay, I'll cover how do I enter things maybe in another session, but this is really all about the results, because if it doesn't give you the results you want, it really doesn't matter how you enter stuff. Okay, so let's see where I am at this stage. Okay, statistics. Oh, let me see what you think about the statistics. So let me know if you could use some of those statistics that I showed you. Budgets versus actuals, variances, open purchase orders on the job, received not invoiced values. Would those be of use to you? Okay, so just click, click, click away with your mouse. There's only 3 choices here. This is not overly complex voting. So 2 more people need to vote. Come on, everybody gets a chance to vote. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let's close that out, and I'll share it back. And again, incredible. 100% of you said you could use this. And I'm so pleased to hear that. Obviously, warms my heart, because this is exactly what we do here at Cost Control Software. We provide these solutions that you can add, as either you as a reseller can add this to your client's installation, or if you're an end user and maybe you don't have a reseller that could do this, this is what we specialize in. We've done this for 20 years. So it's like, this is, got to have this kind of stuff. If you're truly going to do job costing, this is what you've got to have. And so that's why we make this all available to you as users to add to your software. And just call me after the webinar, and we'll talk about how we can get that added in. Okay, let's go on to number 4 out of 7. We're doing well here. There's no way to set up job templates for different types of jobs. I think it's really important that each job or each type of work that you do has an associated template with it so that it expedites the creation of that new job. And that's actually, you saw a little piece of this when I did the quote. When I created the job from the quote, it went and grabbed the template and brought in that line of tasks. So let me just show you where that is. It's a little bit of training. I wasn't going to do too much how, but I think it's important enough that I want you to see this. So I'm going to go to resources. This is where I've got my resource templates. Now we also have inventory item templates for those of you that produce finished goods. This works for you as well. Today I'm really kind of focused on the service type businesses, but this works just as well for people that make finished good products and post that into inventory so that you can ship and invoice them. Let's take a look at the project services is where I store, and I've only got 3 samples here. Let's open up the conveyor so you can see this. So I've set up cost categories. I've expanded the nav cost categories. And normally out of the box, you've only got person and machine, if you remember, or check this out in yours. But we added expense, service, outside processing, overhead, miscellaneous, transportation, field labor. So all these additional cost categories can be established here on your resource card. Very cool. But for the conveyor, this is where I set up my template. Watch what I do here. I simply set up here under task planning combos. This is the template master. Okay, this is not the job. So when I copied when I set up that job and copied it in, it brought all of this in. Okay, remember what was it down here on cutting? Remember cutting had all this parts and materials. There's the 2, the 1, and I changed the side panel from 2 to 6 on that particular job. I wasn't changing the master template. I was just changing the on a job by job basis. Same for the hours for the people. I've got it set that it normally takes 80 hours worth of internal meetings. You see that down here. And it's going to extend that times whatever rate you've got on the resource that you assign. And so this just gives you a place to start. And it makes it so much simpler to process it. So it copies this template into the job, and it's really, really quick to set up your jobs from that point of view. So that is this concept of templates for your job. Let's see if anybody likes that concept. So let me just pop this up real quick. Help me out here, so don't stay awake. So job templates. Can you use job templates? Cool? Not cool? Would it help you out? So click away. Grab your mouse. Grab your fingers. Touch it. Touch screen. Whatever you got. Let me know. Okay, 91% voting. Everybody's getting involved here. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, I'll share this back. And we've got 90% of you saying you could use the template concept. Hey, we're doing real well. 10% out there says doesn't apply. Perfectly okay. I do have people that actually just copy old jobs to the new job and do it that way rather than using templates. It works that way just as well. Okay, number 5. How are we doing here? Okay, no way to buy items. Okay, this really irritated me when I first started using the software. It was like, okay, I've taken the time to put in my planning lines, those materials, the side panels, the brakes, whatever it is that I need for that job. And there was no way to kind of, hey, let's just go ahead and buy that stuff. And I said, well, there's got to be a way. And so we wanted to make it so that it could basically push from the job to the requisition worksheet and send the job number and task number too. That's the most important part, is being able to get the job number and the task number written to the planning worksheet. So when you create the PO, it's got the numbers. It needs those numbers so we have that nice linkage between the PO and the job. So if it comes from the job, you're pushing it from the job. Here's how it's done. Let me just go to it. I'll show it to you. Real simple stuff. Okay, and we designed everything to be as simple as possible. I think it's just real important to keep the processes easy to use. Okay, so we created this choice here called purchases BOM lines. So what I wanted to show in this window is all the materials that are needed for this job. Okay, so I'm on the job and I'm now looking for the materials. So this is job 1001-01. This is the material list that's needed. This is the, call it need or demand. This is my demand of materials. I may have them in stock, I may not, but I wanted to be able to very quickly generate requisitions. So I added a column here to the list of materials for the quantity to requisition. How clever is this? And so now I can say I need to buy X number of base. I need to buy one top panel, two side panels, and I can just enter it. I can just freeform, kind of come in here and say, okay, I need some of that, and I need one of those, and maybe that's all I need to buy. And then I just create the requisition. So I hit the requisition, and it goes, and it creates. See, it's now on requisition. So I've now created those requisition lines. You can drill down and see it's right here in the requisition journal. And the beauty is I've got, let's see, I'm not showing the job column, but the column is the job number is established here, so that when I carry out where's the carry out function? Open Excel. Oh, this is a special view. That's why. So if I went to the full requisition, let's just do that so you can see it a little bit here. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but okay. So here's the requisition. Let's just go to this default journal. I just put it in the default journal. So here you can see the whole thing. And where's the job number? Here it is. So here's the job number that it's put it in there. It's got the quantities, that one base and two rear panels. This all came in, right, automatically. And then all I would need to do to generate my POs is to carry out, here's the choice, carry out the action messages, and it's going to gen the POs. I won't go through that whole process, but I just want you to get the concept of being able to very quickly from the job demand generate your POs. And the beauty of it, again, don't forget, is it's putting that job number on the PO lines so that it's going to show up on the statistics. Okay, so let's see if anybody out there kind of likes that little goodie. And so I'm going to take a drink while you get to vote. Okay, 82% voted. Time's up. Don't give you too much time on this. Quick. Okay, so we got 89% of you say you could use this. Boy, you're doing really well today. I think you guys are liking what you're seeing on the screen as far as this functionality. Now, this is not, I don't know if, the only thing I don't show here is how it works out of the box. And probably those of you on the call, I'm looking at some of the names of people here. I'm seeing people that probably already know the jobs out of the box kind of jobs, and you probably already realize a lot of this functionality that I'm showing you here does not exist, especially things like this budget, the actuals, this statistic right here on screen all the time, real time. Very, very important. If you're running a job shop, of any kind or any kind of job, and you want to know what your job to day costs are, boom, it's just right here all the time. So it's like this is kind of a no-brainer, especially compared if you're looking at the way it is out of the box. These screens are much easier to use. Okay, let's go back to the study guide, see how we're doing here. So that's with templates. We've done number 5. Let's go to 6 and 7. Okay, so number 6 I got down here is no way to see the resources capacity versus the job hours demand. In other words, I want to be able to see that each resource, which might be Linda or Michael or whoever's on the job, I want to see what capacity I set for them per day or per week. And I want to see how many hours they've got on as a load. What's my load of demand of that for their time on the job? And I want to be able to look at that and see quickly whether I've overloaded an individual and maybe I need to reallocate some time. So let's go let me move this out of your way. And this is all related to the resources. So let's go, of course, to the resource area. Let's just take a look at the resources. So this is where you would have probably a fairly big list here, okay, of all of your, it could be people, could be like Linda and Mark. It could be machines. You might have, do I have a machine on here? I've got an outside process. Thought I'd have a machine on here. I guess, oh, here it is. A lift for furniture is a machine. It could be a CNC machine. It could be any kind of machines. All of those could have demands of time on them from the job, and they could also have a capacity that is set for them. Let's take a look at that. So I'm going to just come up here to the top. We're just going to navigate down to the planning area here, and we're going to take a look at the this resource availability. So I'm just open this up. What's nice about this screen, okay, is it shows me, and this one's by day, or I can switch it. So if I want to see by month, this lets me see for each resources what the capacity is set at. So there's a place where you set the capacity. How many hours a day does that person or that machine work? You set that up. And then I don't have a whole lot of sample here, but you see this 10. It's not bad. Okay, so this is 10 hours. So I've got this demand. If I click on that 10, it'll take me down to the resource load table, so I know what that 10 hours. It's 8 hours on this day and 2 hours on the 30th. Okay, so it's looking over there at the resource load details from your job, and then it subtracts those 10 hours from the capacity and says the availability after that on that for that month. In this case, I'm a month view, is 166. Now, if you had additional time, so if you had job on, let's say, a quote job, and you may want to subtract that out as well, because you may get that quote. So we would then see the remaining hours there. And for those of you that also use service orders, it could further take out, if that individual has a demand of time on a service order, it would further reduce their net available time out here at the end. So a really nice view to kind of see that declining amount of hours, or if you have over allocated, it's going to show that up clearly here as well, because these will go obviously negative at that stage. Okay, so a little bit on resources. Was there something else I wanted to mention there? I think there is a nice, let me go back one more time. Go back to Linda here and navigate the planning. I thought I had thought there was a nice report that did this as well. Yeah, I'm not seeing it, but we've got a nice report in the job. I'm going to talk about reports in a second. That kind of also gives you a hard copy of that comparison between the capacity versus the load hours, as well as if you want to just generate a task list for Linda, what's assigned to Linda. You can just print a nice report to give you that information. Okay, so let's go back here and let's see. I'm really curious on this one. I know you guys are probably getting tired of me asking you all these questions, but I'm really curious on this one as far as that capacity information, capacity, loads, hours. Is that something that you have use for? Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Okay. So anybody else want to vote here real quick? All right. Well, it's better than I thought. All right. So let me just share this back with you. So that's not as big an issue, but for some of you it is. Okay. 67% say that, yes, you could use that ability to kind of compare that load and demand in hours. And 33% really say it doesn't apply, which is okay. That's kind of what I thought it might be. Okay, let's go a little bit further. The last one here is no way to report on critical job transactions. Reporting, probably one of the number one requirements for people that do job costing is some way, well, the first requirement is what I call an audit. I want a nice audit report that I can give to my accountant that shows for this job, here's exactly to the penny what we spent and where we spent the money. Okay, a real nice audit report. And then also a traveler. I'll show you the traveler. Some load reports, I mentioned those, and some summary reports. Let's just take a peek at some of the reports that are available, and then we'll come back here in a minute. So let's go back to our Rule Center. Okay, so I think I'll do this from the jobs. So we'll open up the job area, and I think the reports, let's see if I got them here. No, I'll go here. All right. So I'm going to kind of backdoor it here. All right. So this is what's called our job manager reports. We've extended the reports that come out of the box with all sorts of additional types of reports, estimate reports, a job quote report. I got to show you that one. Let me go to this job right here, and let me go to this job manager report for the quotes. I didn't really do a quote at the beginning, did I? So let's just do this for job 1001-01. We'll do it for that job right there. And let me just preview this on the screen so everybody can see what the quote would look like. I did it as a summary. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. Here we go. Okay, so it's a job quote, who the customer is for this conveyor. So at the beginning or on a planning job, when you're doing a planning job, you can actually establish these contract amounts for each of the different work activities, how many hours. It's optional whether, and you can adjust this. If you don't want to show the person's name, you just maybe want to show the total amount of time and then the contract amount, which is those line items that you saw on the estimating. You can kind of adjust this any way you want. And then down at the bottom, it totals it up. Of course, totals up the hours, if you want that or not. And then a place for you to submit it and a place for the customer, Mr. Teal here, at the Cannon Group to accept the quotation, okay? And even with your fax number right there so we can fax it back to you. So easy way to generate a quote right from that estimate worksheet. And what was the other one I wanted to show? Oh, the audit report. This is always comes up. So here I'm on this job. I got the audit. Yeah, right here's the audit. So here's the audit report for the job. Now, to me, an audit, this is all about the pennies, right? So I want to see for every penny that went into this job, which in this one, probably not very many, but at least we'll get some detail here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Probably too close. There we go. Okay, so here's my job cost audit report. It's going to show every entry, Linda Martin, 5.5 hours, rates, total cost, boom, 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 all the way down the line. Materials used, side panels, 2 side panels, there's the price, total cost. I mean, it's totaling this thing up. There is no question where the cost comes from on these jobs. We don't want a mystery. Job costing should not be a mystery. It should be pennies, right to the exact. And I know this is what you want. Okay, exactly the dollar amounts. And then down here, of course, it's going to grand total it all up for you neatly at the bottom. So a nice way to get a clean audit report of that job. Was there another one there that I wanted to show? I probably, let me look one other place here. The audit, I showed you that. Oh, the traveler. Let's take a look at this traveler. Comment about the traveler report is this is what goes out to the shop. So you kind of put this in a clear plastic thing to protect it. So if you have a shop where you've got employees, and notice too, forgot to mention this, notice too, if I zoom in a little bit, all these barcodes. So we heavily barcode for each task on the job. Each task has a barcode to it. So if they're cutting or machining or welding, it's going to go boom, 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 and they can scan it. They can scan their time and record their time in and out, punch in and punch out kind of thing. We've got a whole piece of software just for that, for job time entry is what we call it, specific to time. And then the employees can kind of clock in and clock out and go right back to work, and it keeps them very efficient as far as allocating the time to the various work categories that you've already set up here in this nice task list. Okay, real important. Okay, so let me go back to my study guide. So how'd you like reports? Is reports important to you? Let's find out. Last question I'm going to ask, guys. Actually, there's one other, but this is a good one. So, is reporting important? Do you want better job cost reporting in your jobs? So let me know. It applies, doesn't apply. Click, click. Okay. That's it. You got to be quick here. I'll share this out, and whoa. Wow. 100% said absolutely need better costing reports. So there was nobody holding back on that one. Everybody wants better reporting, and we provide, I think it's close to 40 reports that we provide out of the job manager software. It comes with the software already there, all created and report. You just install it and boom, up and go. So all this is there. All 7, okay, of these what I call critical job manager requirements are solved by one add-on product called Job Manager. So write that name down, circle it on your paper, whatever. It's called Job Manager. It's designed for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Now, if you don't have Business Central, don't worry. It's available in many past versions of NAV, when even going back to Navision days when it was Navision. So whether you have 2018, 2017, 2015, 5.0, whatever it is, we've got you covered. Contact us and ask. The main thing, here's my main point today, and we're going to wrap this up in a second, is I've been showing this with some general sample data. You really need to see this demonstration with your data, not my data, your data. Your job, process one of your jobs through the system, and let's see if it generates the reports, the on-screen information, the results that you want. And then you get to ask some questions, because in here, unfortunately, you're kind of muted out and for the recording purposes. So the advantage of a live presentation, we just do a live screen share, and I put in some of your data, typically your task list. So think in terms of what your tasks are. You may not do welding, okay? You may do installations. So just think in terms of your own data, and let's get that in there so you can see it coming in from the template. Okay. Again, my name, just so don't forget who I am, please. My name is Rick Baxter. I'm with Cost Control Software right here in Carmel, Indiana. And there's my email address. There's our phone number. The phone does work. You just simply pick it up and call, and we will set up a nice meeting to present this software to the rest of your company, because you may have some other people think in terms of who else needs to see this. And we will be sending the replay. So you'll get a copy of the replay, because in case there's anybody else in your business that you think should see this presentation, we will send that to you so you get a link to that. Okay, so I want to thank everybody for taking 60 minutes with me. It came out just right. I really appreciate it here. So thank you. So somebody says, thank you, Rick, for the amazing webinar. Hey, I like that. Amazing. Okay. Thank you very much. And Elaine also says, thank you. Thank you very much for attending. I hope you learned some things. Do call us, email us. We're here to serve you and show you exactly how this software works, but let's do it with your data. Much better to see it with your data. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week and watch for our next presentation. Thanks so much.